Welcome to Dying Out Loud, a space for conversations that we all keep putting off. The words we swallow, the love we assume that can wait. I'm Kris, and I'm here to tell you it can't wait. Life is a fragile, breathtaking, beautiful miracle, and every second we spend holding back is a second that we won't get back. This isn't a show about dying. It's a show about refusing to die with your gratitude, your love, and all of that appreciation still inside you. Because one day, the words that you meant to say will just turn into echoes. One day, the hands that you meant to hold, they won't be there. This is your invitation to live louder, love harder, and say the damn thing today, right now, while you still can. Join me and my guests as we crack open our hearts, share our scars, and celebrate the people who make this short, beautiful life worth every breath. Today, my guest is my good friend, Jesse Perez. Jesse's a DEIA professional working in the marketing space to bring inclusion and belonging to his colleagues. Originally from San Antonio, Texas, he now lives in New York City with his partner and his 10-year-old dachshund. Jesse has a personal relationship with cancer and the way that it has impacted his life. A few years ago, he lost a dear friend to throat cancer. We'll let Jesse tell you more about her as we have our conversation. Jesse is just like me in that no subject is off limits, and that makes every conversation an impactful one and one that you definitely won't want to miss. Jesse's not just my colleague, he's been a friend, a confidant, and one of the first people I felt truly safe with when I returned to work after my medical leave. So I'd love to start off just by sharing a little bit about how I first met Jesse. Picture this. I got my stage 4 cancer diagnosis in September and decided that it was time to return to work around February of the following year. And Jesse was new to our organization, and we were looking for something for me to do that might help me ease back into the work. And I got partnered up with Jesse to work on some DEIA initiatives. Shortly after that, I realized what a dynamic and amazing person Jesse was. And I realized that first interaction made all the difference in my return to the workplace. He made me feel seen, he made me feel safe, and most importantly, he made me feel heard. Jesse, I don't know if you remember what that first conversation looked like, but I'm curious now, and I've always been curious. What was going through your mind as you found out that this person who had worked at Gale for a while was coming back from medical leave, had been diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, and now was going to be one of your business partners?
Oh, Kris, what an introduction. One, thank you for the kind words. I'm so happy to be here. And I'm just so excited to have this conversation with you. So appreciate the really generous introduction. I do remember our first interaction. I didn't tell you it at the time. You found out later, but as you mentioned, I lost a friend to throat cancer. And at the time when you and I met, she was still very much alive and she was still very much in her battle. And when I found out about your story, I was really eager to meet you because I had just heard so many things about you. I remember our first conversation really well. The backstory is that I was new to Gale, and our former manager at the time, who's no longer with us here at Gale, but our former manager at the time was letting me know, hey, we've got this awesome guy, Kris. He would really love to work with you on our DEI strategy. And I was like, all right, who's Kris? And she told me a little bit about you, but I wanted to get to know you myself. And right off the bat, I just felt an instant bond because you were so open about your cancer diagnosis. You were so eager to learn about the work that I do. And I just saw such an interest in making the organization that we work for a better place. I feel like you and I hit it off right off the bat. I didn't tell you at the time, but my best friend, was going through her own battle with cancer. And so I just felt very comfortable with you. You taught me, funny enough, how to comfortably talk about cancer without tiptoeing around it, because truly I didn't know how to talk to my best friend about it. It was probably my first time dealing with it at such a direct level. I've had distant family members battle cancer, but no one who was in my life so intimately. And you let me ask you questions. You let me ask you what's okay to ask, what's not okay to ask. Spoiler alert, you never told me nothing was off the table in terms of what I was allowed to ask. And you really helped me take those last few months that I had with my friend, and our conversations were rarely about cancer, to be honest. It was just about life and video games and talking about the things that we loved. But when cancer was the topic of discussion, we didn't tiptoe around it. She was very open with where she was in her prognosis. She was very much a fighter, but she was also very honest about what was going on in her life. And honestly, me being able to have those frank conversations with her, I give you a lot of credit with that, because you really helped me approach that conversation. But yeah, in terms of our first conversation, we were just getting to know each other, and I feel like we bonded instantly. And then before you know it, you were working with me. I want to say within a week of us having that conversation.
I feel like that's right.
Yeah. I went to Patty, who was our boss at the time, and I said I would love to work with him. And next thing, we were figuring it all out, right? Like, I was maybe 2 weeks into my journey here at Gale, and I was still figuring out what DEI at Gale means. And you played a huge part in that. So yeah, that's how it all started.
Love that. It's interesting because I remember some of those conversations so vividly, and I'd love to do something. I don't know if you are comfortable sharing with, me. I already know her name, but with our audience, your best friend's name. But I'd love to just dedicate this episode to her memory. We barely started talking, but yeah. I think everything that we're going to talk about, it relates so closely to the time that you spent with her, and just, it's a great way to honor the friendship that the two of you had.
Yeah, I might get a little choked up talking about her, to be frank, but her name was Kendra Kates. She and I were coworkers turned roommates, turned best friends. We lived together from, I want to say, like 2009 till 2011, 2012, 2 or 3 years we lived together. And she was just such a personality. She was such a kind, just beautiful person. I could go to her for anything, right? Whether I needed advice, whether I needed a stern talking to, she was just always there for me. And it's still, to this day, over a year later since her passing, it's still odd to talk about losing her. And it's odd talking about her in the past tense, but she and I were just such great friends. We were part of a bigger group of friends. There was about 4 or 5 of us who worked together, and we were a group who would go to the pool together, party together, weddings together, watch each other grow up. And she was just the kindest human being that I've ever met, truly. Not a single person who you would ask about Kendra would say a bad thing about her. And so as life happens, right, friends lose touch. And that's probably the biggest regret of my life, to be honest, is that there was never a falling out. There was never a fight. There was never an argument. There was never a disagreement. It was just, we unintentionally grew apart. My life went into a different direction. Her life went into a different direction. I ended up moving to Austin. She was in San Antonio. And then a text every day turns into a text every week, and then turns into a text once a month. And then before you know it, you look at that text thread and weeks or months or even half a year apart from us checking in on each other. And that, to this day, is probably my biggest regret, because there was never any sort of disagreement. It was just, I think naturally sometimes life happens that way. And take us back to, I want to say 2022, she got her cancer diagnosis, and then she reached out to me and she shared her diagnosis, and she was still very much fighting the cancer and wanted to beat it. And that's what kind of brought us back together. And I genuinely hate that's what brought us back together, because there was so much time lost between the last time she and I were quote unquote closer versus the time that she had her cancer. But when I told her that, she was like, don't live in that regret. We have this time together now. And any chance I got when I would visit San Antonio, I would go see her, and I would, again, just have very honest conversations with her. So just the kindest human being. She loved playing video games. She was a Game of Thrones like historian. So she got me into Game of Thrones. And now anytime I read Game of Thrones or watch Game of Thrones, I think of her. And yeah, she's someone that I think about every single day. I'm still very much in touch with her mother and her sister. I'm actually attending her sister's wedding in the fall. And so, yeah, Kendra's always going to be a part of my life. Her family's always going to be part of my life. And I miss her dearly.
I love that. Thanks for sharing that. I know that was probably putting you on the spot because that wasn't necessarily part of our script. But
no, that's okay.
But I'm glad that you shared that. And you had said that you hate that's what brought you back together. But sometimes in life, that's literally the cards that were dealt, right? Tragedy brings people together. And I think there was a reason that it happened the way that it did. And I know that Kendra felt like happiness and a sense of security and just having that reconnection with you. And I think that just highlights even more why things like simple gestures and that authentic presence that you can have with people, those things matter so much more than the big actions. I remember a time when we were talking about the fact that you had reconnected and you were really having some struggles with what to talk about. And I'm like, Jesse, even if you sit in silence for however long, that's showing up. Like that gesture is so much more impactful than a big action, quite honestly. Like those are the moments that people are looking for when they're going through something like this. I think whenever I look back at those early days of getting to know you, I'm spending so much time with you, building the things that we've built together, just how even in those moments, like when you were being open and honest and vulnerable and transparent with me about Kendra, in doing that, you also were modeling like this level of quiet support for me in such a grounded way, and really in figuring out the way you could show up best for her, you were showing up for me in those moments. And that was a game changer for me. So I'm going to push the cart back to you so I can gather myself together here. But because you've always shown up in such a steady, grounded way, what do you think, especially based on your experience over the last few years with Kendra included, what do you think that showing up means to you personally? Like, how can we all do a better job of showing up for each other?
Yeah, I think if she taught me anything, it's to live every day like it's your last. And now I try really hard to stay connected with my loved ones, even more so than before, right? Because I think sometimes the lie is that we have so much time, and that's not always the case. I could pass away tomorrow for whatever reason. And so I just want to make sure that the last time that I talked to my mom, or the last time I talked to my partner, or the last time I talked to you or my best friends, that they walk away with some sort of happy memory. And that's to me what showing up is, right? I've got a best friend. I have two best friends actually who live in Atlanta. And I always try and end those conversations with just something positive and happy. And we could be talking about the most mundane stuff, right? Gay stuff. They're my gay best friends.
There you go.
And we'll talk about the boys that they might be dating at the time, or RuPaul's Drag Race, or we might have an honest conversation about what's going on in our lives. But it's just about making sure that whether it's a mundane conversation, it's not meaningless. It may be mundane, but it's not meaningless. Or whether we're having an honest conversation about real,
I love that.
Real shit. It's want what could be my last interaction with anybody to be meaningful. And I know that's not realistic all the time, but with my loved ones especially, I want that to be something. So that's why when I leave my mom's house in San Antonio, I always end it with an I love you and a kiss on her cheek and a big hug to my grandpa. because I honestly don't know if that could be the last time I'm seeing them. And I don't think about it that way. I think all the time, but I think internally, I know that's why those hugs and those kisses and those I love yous are so important. So
It's so true, everything that you said there. When I think about that whole concept of when you walk away from someone, did you give them that hug just in case it's the last time? I think back to all of the things that I already know. I've like for a person that I know that I've seen them for the last time, or that last hug was the last hug. And as much time as there is left, you have to prioritize where you're spending that time. And it's a sad thing to think about. And I think the way to put it into perspective for some people is think about your childhood. And if you played games like tag or freeze tag or hide and go seek, did you ever think that last game of hide and go seek was the last game of hide and go seek that you would ever have? And it sounds so crazy to try to tie those two things together, but if you really think about that, it's so terribly like sad and monumental that you never know when you walk away from a person or a situation or a place, that'll be the last time that you step foot on that soil or play that game or hug that person. And it's just something that through conversations like this, I hope that people that are listening realize that we all get the opportunity to go back and, ask for forgiveness, give forgiveness, share love, share appreciation, share gratitude.
Yeah.
When you think about the last couple of years, how would you say that when you think about our friendship, the relationship that we've developed, how would you say that might have shaped your own views on just being open at work and transparent or in life and sharing your authentic, transparent self, no matter how it comes?
Yeah, it's a great question. I would say where you have really changed my mindset is I work really hard to not shy away from some of those, what some people would consider like taboo conversations. When you and I have conversations about your diagnosis and your cancer battle, I learned very quickly that it was fine for me to, in some way, take this horrible deck that you've been dealt, and you and I can laugh about it and smile about it and make jokes about it. And I thought that those things you could not do. But I learned very quickly from you that if you can joke about it, and I'm not going to sit here and go, no, Kris, we can't joke about that shit. No, you're the one going through it. And I'm not going to stomp on that and go, you can't joke about that. No, you and I we're going to have very frank conversations about it. So when you make certain comments, I just go along with it. I laugh at it. I might throw a joke right back at you about it. And I've learned to do that in other ways with other loved ones and friends. So that's really where you have impacted me greatly, is that I used to shy away from doing those types of things. And now I'm like, no, why am I going to try and tiptoe or be sensitive around the topic when the person going through it isn't doing that themselves, and they're giving me the space to laugh and cry and do all the things about it when needed. That's honestly what I think about, is that we don't talk about it openly in this forum all the time, but like when you and I just have one-on-one conversations and you and I can just have that banter and go back and forth about it, and it's not weird. It's just very much us, our relationship. And I appreciate that. Like, I appreciate that you trust me to be able to just talk openly about what you're going through, and that I, in turn, can just be in it with you and not just give you a blanket statement like, everything's going to be okay, Kris, or everything's going to be fine. Because I learned very quickly that's not what you say. And you taught me that. So, yeah.
I love that so much. And what a gift to me, too, that I've had that kind of impact. I think when I look at the way that I try to show up every day, I think part of that transparency is because there are going to be days when it's a little bit rougher to roll out of bed, or
Yeah.
there are literally days where in between calls, I might be running to the bathroom and throwing up or something horrible like that. And coming back and knowing that I have a safe space and I have these relationships that I've developed that allow me to be who I am and feel the way that I feel, and know that people are going to appreciate the fact that I am showing up, that it definitely makes all the difference in the world. And yeah, I just agree with you so much there. I think what a valuable thing to have and to acknowledge. And I appreciate that I've been able to be a part of that with you.
Absolutely.
I'm going to turn to just a little bit of a more direct conversation, less really for the audience and more just for you, because my number one motivation in doing this is not to bring people on camera and let them have to cry or watch me cry, but it's really to share gratitude and appreciation. And I just want you to know how truly grateful I am for you, for not only the work things that we have done together, but for your friendship. You were at my wedding. I have a great trust in you, and you've had a significant presence. You've had a significant presence in my life, and I truly want you to know that this journey is more manageable because of the people in my life like you. And I am a firm believer that because of the joy and the happiness that folks like you bring into my life, I truly think that you all have extended my life. And I would be remiss if I missed out on an opportunity to share that with you.
Thank you, Kris.
Everything from holding space to sharing your thoughts and your feelings surrounding cancer, to sharing your story about Kendra. All of that has had a truly profound impact on me. And I just want you to know that I love you and I appreciate you. And I'm truly grateful to have you in my life. And it has meant the world to me. So, with that said, if you could encourage anybody listening or watching on YouTube to take one step, be it a small one or a leap, today to show up for someone they care about, what would you recommend they do?
I'm going to answer that. But first, I want to just say thank you, Kris, for your friendship. It has meant the world to me. I adore you. I love you. I love your husband. It was such an honor to meet him at your wedding when I got to meet him. And thank you for letting me be a part of that special day. And I just love and value our friendship so much, because you and I could easily go from a casual conversation about life to a casual conversation about work. We get our work done and then we go and talk about whatever we need to talk about. And I value that so much. And I just want you to know that the legacy that you leave and the legacy that I leave when we perhaps are no longer with Gail, or perhaps we're no longer here on this earth, is going to be tremendous. And I just know that I'm going to think so fondly of you today, tomorrow, and for the rest of my life, because you have impacted me. So I don't want to make you cry more with my words. So I will answer your question, but I just wanted to make sure that the feelings that you just expressed to me are very mutual. And I'm not always the best at expressing my feelings, but you challenged me to do that. So thank you. And now my ADHD has kicked in. What was the question again?
First, thank you for that. I truly appreciate that. And I'd just love to know what you would offer to anybody that's listening in terms of what step can they take today to really show up for someone that they care about. And it doesn't have to be someone with cancer or someone that's facing a life-threatening illness. It could be somebody that's just having a rough week because their car broke down and this month isn't the month that they can afford to fix it. How can you show up for people authentically and show them that you're there?
I'm going to tie it directly to my experience with Kendra. If you have someone in your life who you have perhaps lost touch with, for no particular reason. Maybe there was a reason. Maybe some sort of falling out happened. Or maybe it was just a natural, you go your way, the other goes their way. Pick up the phone, text them, call them, even if it's just to check in and say, I love you, I miss you, I want to see you. Don't wait, because it's so easy to say, there's tomorrow, there's next week, there's next month. And that's not always true. Take it from me. There was about a 5-year period where Kendra and I just were texting each other once or twice a year. And it's the biggest regret of my life. And I'm trying really hard to make sure that never happens again. So reach out, start a conversation. It might lead to a reunion of some sort, and maybe it just leads to a text relationship, and that's okay too. But if you have a loved one who you've lost touch with, check in on them and see how they're doing, because you don't know what they're going through and they don't know what you're going through. And if you have things to share with them, or if you want an update on their life, do it, because there might not be tomorrow, there might not be next year. And I wish that I could get those 5 years back with Kendra. I wish she and I had trips to the movies and concerts and road trips and all the things that I missed out on during those 5 years. And I really wish I could get those back. So that would be my advice to anybody listening.
Love that. I think that is some really sound advice. Reach out to someone. And to your point, you don't know what the response is going to be. You might get a text back, and you know what? Sometimes you might not get a text back. But don't allow yourself to be in the position where you can look back and say, I should have done this. Do the thing regardless of what the response is, and put the ball in that person's court. If they want to reconnect, that can be the catalyst. And if they want to continue operating in their silo, then so be it. But don't allow yourself to be in that position where you're questioning, should I have done this? Why didn't I do this? And don't allow yourself to have that regret. It's so important.
Can I give Kendra one last shout out, Kris?
Please, please.
Towards the end, she was fighting so hard. And she sent me one last DM on Instagram. It was a meme. But the meme said, dear friend, you're doing amazing. I'm proud of you. I just thought you needed to know that today. That was the last thing she ever said to me. And that was Kendra. She was going through the fight of her life, and she took a couple seconds to reach out to me on a day that I was going through it, I'll be honest. And she just...
And I know you're going to hold that meme with you until the end of time.
Instagram goes under. I still have that screenshot.
Oh, yeah.
She was going through so much, Kris, and the fact that she even took 5 seconds to think of me is just something I will cherish for the rest of my life.
That is so powerful. It just highlights the importance of taking this moment right now, today, to express that love, that appreciation, that gratitude. There is no reason to wait for a milestone. Don't wait until the new year to say, hey, I love you. Happy New Year. Say it on August 1st. Say it on July 16th, July 17th. Just say it. So I'd love to invite anybody that's listening to think about who their Jessie is. Who is that person in your life that has shown up for you the way Jessie has shown up for me? And who's that person that you need to thank or honor? Make that happen today. And you don't have to do it on YouTube or a podcast. It can be that text message or a phone call or a FaceTime or an Instagram DM. Make it happen and take that little step today. So as we wrap up, I just want to again say thanks, Jessie, for everything that you have done. I know that we have plenty of time left to explore life, work, and all of the things in between. But I want you to know that you have definitely been a light on so many dark days, and I will absolutely carry that with me always.
The feeling is mutual, my friend. Thank you so much for giving me the space to talk.
Absolutely. It's been such a great chat. And as we discussed, it was almost as if we were just chatting with each other and nobody was going to listen.
Totally felt like we're starting a normal conversation.
Here's the part where I bring everybody back in. I just want to thank everybody who was here alongside us as we had this conversation. I want to thank you for listening and for being a part of this ripple of love and gratitude. And truly, if today's conversation moved you, if something inside of you is stirring right now, that, my friends, is your heart. It's reminding you that you are still alive and you can still do things. Please don't let this just be another episode that you finish and move on from and forget. Let it provide a spark that moves you to reach out to someone that you love or appreciate, to tell them that they matter, to say thank you, I'm proud of you, maybe I'm sorry, or I forgive you. Whatever you feel like is unfinished inside you, please finish it now. We don't get forever. We only get this moment right now, this heartbeat and this breath. So please take it, use it, and don't just live, but live out loud. Keep showing up for people. The world is aching for your presence, and it's better when you do show up. Jesse, before I say goodbye, any other things that you might want to say to anyone listening that they should carry forward?
Yeah, just be kind, treat everyone with respect and love and dignity, and reach out to your loved ones and check in. That's what I would say. And thank you, Kris, for allowing me to be in your space for a little while.
Absolutely. Jesse, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. And for anyone listening, again, don't wait. Say the damn thing already and just always love out loud. That's it for today. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week. Jesse, thank you. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Bye, my friend.
Okay.